Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of Doing Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for today. This one's going to be doing another video. We're going to talk about a comment recently made by Norman Reedus in regards to the future of the Daryl Dixon character and how long he would like to play that character for. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for the Walking Dead universe, and in today's video we're going to be talking about some comments that have been recently made by Norman Reedus in regards to the future of the Daryl Dixon character. So, this one's definitely important because it's good to hear where the actor stands on it. It's good to hear, how long they think they could last, because here's the thing. You could ask a writer how long you think a character could last, but if the actor's heart's not in it, then, it doesn't really matter. So, for me personally, I always take comments like this a lot more seriously when the actor themselves say what they really want and what's on their mind and what they're thinking, because if you ask Gimple, he'd be like, oh, it could be like 10 more years, so you always know he's going to say that. So it's more so now about Norman Reedus, what he wants, and we just got that. So we're going to go over this a little bit and discuss it and talk about our opinions on whether or not we think this is a realistic outcome. So without further ado, let's talk about it. How much longer would you like to continue to play this part? Norman Reedus says, I think maybe 6 or 7 more years. The Daryl Dixon spinoff has given me an opportunity to take the show in a direction that's different and to the original series. Alright, so it's kind of something that I was kind of thinking, 6-7 years for Daryl, for what Norman Reedus said. Now here's the thing about it, right, is that we're currently in 2024, right? And that would give us to about 2030, roughly, of Daryl's character. So that's roughly what I'm thinking they're going to do as well. That's kind of what I've been thinking for the longest time, is that we're going to get, a good few more seasons of Daryl Dixon, probably more than we need. I mean, honestly, we're probably not going to need as many seasons as they're going to be dishing out to us, but we're going to get probably, I'd say, 4, 5, maybe 6 seasons of Daryl. More than likely, at least 5 to 6 seasons of Daryl, which, obviously, you guys know, I think that's, an unnecessary amount, but that's just me, of course, and obviously, I'll watch it, so it doesn't really matter. But, do I think that that's a good amount of seasons for the Daryl Dixon show? I think it's a little too much, honestly, but they're going to do it regardless, so there's nothing we can do about it. But that being said, we're in 2024. In 6 years, we're going to be in 2030, right? Now, 6 or 7 more years is what Norman Reedus is saying for the character. And a lot of people have been predicting that we may or may not get a crossover event around the year of 2029, 2030, something like that. And Gimple said before that he is planning on doing a crossover event at one point. So that kind of lines up a little bit. Now, it's tough to indicate because obviously you don't know what's going to happen in 6 years. I mean, none of us know what's going to happen in 6 years. Things could be totally different by then. But that is the estimate. So they're probably going to carry out these spinoffs for a good few more years. I think that's a pretty automatic one that we could all kind of, assume, is that the spinoff era of The Walking Dead is kind of just getting started. We're getting a lot more seasons of both Daryl Dixon and Dead City. No word yet on Ones Who Live Season 2, but, we had a season of that as well, too, this year. So, I'll say this. It seems like the spinoff era is the era we're going to be in, at least for the remaining years of the 2020s. That's what it feels like. And then maybe around 2030, which is around the time Norman Reedus says that he thinks the character should kind of wrap up around 2030. At least if he says 6 or 7 more years, that would add up to 2030. So that's what I'm gonna, that's what I'm gonna kind of get from that, is that's probably when we'll get the crossover event with everybody, and that's probably when we'll get everybody kind of back together. Which again, 6 years, it's not the worst thing, but it also is, because the actors are getting older. Maybe not people like, I've heard some people say like, oh well, Dan, Lauren Cohen's only early 40s, and I'm like, yeah, Lauren Cohen you could definitely do, but it's like, what about actors like Jeffrey D. Morgan that's almost in his like 60s, you know what I'm saying? Or like Norman that'll definitely be in his 60s by that point. You definitely can do it. I'm not saying it's something you can't do. It's not an ideal situation. You should have done a crossover already, if you ask me, and kind of wrapped this whole thing up and then made these spinoffs as extra bonus content if you want to see it, not drag out the brand and make people watch all these different spinoffs to therefore then 6 years later then finally give people the crossover that they want. It's a little bit taxing, it's a little bit overdone, and it just doesn't really seem like something that we should have gotten, but they're gonna do it anyway, so it is what it is. But 6 or 7 more years for the Daryl Dixon character. My biggest question is now, and this is my question for all of you guys, and I would like to hear your comments down below. Seriously, like, I really want to hear, Is that reasonable for you as a fan? Because the fans is what matters. If you guys aren't into it, then they're not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying, to 2030. So it's really up to you guys. So that's why I want to ask you guys: are you interested in watching 6 or 7 more years worth of the Daryl Dixon character? You guys know the answer for me. I'm gonna watch it regardless. But obviously, that's just one man's opinion. So, I want to hear from you guys. Is that a reasonable amount of time to prepare for a crossover series, which therefore we would see in 2030, probably around that time? Do you think that makes any sense? It's gonna be dreadful. I can't lie. It's gonna be dreadful to wait that long. But let me think here. Like, I'm almost 20. I'd be like 25, 26 years old by the time we see this crossover. That's pretty insane. But, again, I'm going to be watching it around that time. I know I am. Like, I'm not just going to give up on The Walking Dead. So it's a dreadful process. It's definitely something that I wish they would hurry up with, to be honest. And this is coming from somebody that's a huge Walking Dead fan, as you can see behind me. But, I want some kind of conclusion, and I want it sooner than that, if I'm being honest. But for the sake of the actors, so that they can do what they want to do, and so you don't drag out a brand further than it needs to be, which I would argue Walking Dead's kind of already done. But again, this is coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of hate. I love The Walking Dead, but I think waiting till 2030 is a little bit overboard for a crossover series, and that's not even confirmed. You know what I'm saying? They could wait longer than that, and just the Daryl Dixon character is concluded in 2030. You know what I'm saying? We could be waiting like another 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Which is unfortunately probably going to happen. So I don't know. It's not exactly something that we could afford, I'd say, as Walking Dead viewers, although we'll see where the future brings us. These comments from Norman Reedus is definitely an interesting one for sure, and it's one that I didn't expect to hear at this time. I didn't expect Norman Reedus to just say it, although I'm glad he did, because it gives us an estimate on how much longer he realistically thinks he can take the character. And it also kind of tells us that Norman Reedus as Daryl Dixon is not going to be done for a long time. At least until the 2030s, we're going to have Daryl Dixon as a character. So again, what do you feel about that? How do you feel about that idea? Let me know in the comment section below. And well, guys, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click to subscribe once you notice any other videos of The Walking Dead. Be sure, of course, to follow me on Dan's The Walking Dead reviews on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys very soon for more videos of The Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.